Either Tad Hargrave from Marketing for Hippies. They'll thank me if I push them to buy. That's the topic we're going to explore today, because I keep hearing this from people, or hearing that they've heard it from people, that people will thank you if you push them to buy. This is the kind of justification for manipulative strong arming of people to buy from us. And what to say? I don't like it. I think it's stupid. I mean, just translate that to other situations. Now, I'll say this, where I think there's some legs to this is, you know, we've all had the time where we were kind of in the doldrums and somebody's like, come on, we're gonna go out. No, I don't wanna go out. No, come on, we're gonna have a good time. And they harass you a bit and you go out, and by the end of the night, you're like, thank you so much. I'm so glad I got out. I've been at home and I had the best time. So when there's a friendship, when there's this existing connection, it is rolling the dice. You are rolling the dice because they might not respond well to it. But, you know, this idea of just, well, I'll just be respectful and leave people and never interfere with their life and never take a risk in the friendship and never, you know, never tease anyone or harass anyone. I'll be so respectful. There's a limit to that. I think these other kinds of approaches and ways of being with each other, there's room for that too. There's room to you know, tease people and cheer people on, encourage people, push people maybe a little bit. But this is in a friendship, you know, and even in a friendship, that can go wrong. You are taking a risk when you do that. Calculated risk. You know, you're pretty sure they're going to have a really great time. But yeah, so when people in sales say, well, they'll thank you, here's what I'll say. I'll say you're taking a very big risk. Because if your agenda is to get them to say yes and you're not paying attention to if it's a fit, this is my belief, and I've done other videos on this, if you push them to say yes, to the extent that you've pushed them, to the extent that they're saying yes because you pushed them, not because they really just authentically chose to, you are on the hook for the consequences of it. Now that could work out well. They might say, God, thank you so much for pushing me to sign up for this. I'm actually really glad I did. That could happen. Let's not pretend that couldn't happen. Maybe it's happened to you. But the opposite can happen. Yeah, where they do sign up because you push them and it's a terrible or mediocre experience. So there's that. But generally, I think it's bullshit. Generally, I think it's a way of justifying manipulative tactics. Because you hear the framing, they'll thank you. It's a kind of, it's a little too certain of itself. Guaranteed they're going to thank you. No matter what, they'll thank you. Because your work is so good, isn't it? Well, is your work that good, really? Is any of our work that good that guaranteed everyone's going to find it a fit and thank us, you know? Unlikely. So, and even if it is so good, it's not a fit for everybody. So to speak about it in those kinds of certain terms, I don't think is appropriate. I think sometimes you might, even in business, I'm not against a little like, look, I've got this program. I think this can help. I'm just putting it on the table. I think this would be good for you. I know you're uncomfortable about it, but I just, you know, I had a dream last night. I was thinking about you, like, whatever is true. And I was thinking about you being there and I was so excited, and I know it doesn't make sense. Are you willing to trust me on this one? Because you know, there's a money back guarantee, there's all that. But are you willing to trust me? Just from what I know about your situation and your business or I think this would be just exactly what you need. And I know you don't know, and I know it's asking a lot. And still, I'm making the suggestion. You could do that. I really don't think that's out of bounds. But to come at it from this place of certainty of they are absolutely going to thank me every time, this is the problem with so much of the sales training I went through, was this idea that you have to sell yourself before you sell them. You have to walk in absolutely rock solid, convinced that what you have is what they need every time. And that's insanity. That's a kind of delusion. You know, people get themselves in this peak state of certainty and they go into these conversations deluded, unable to see clearly, blinded by their own certainty. And sometimes it works out because the person, it is a fit and it goes well. And then they think, aha, it was my certainty that did it. No. in spite of your certainty. Probably they might have even felt a bit bowled over, but still, well, it seems like such a good fit, so they still sign up. I think the safer approach, the more respectful approach, is to lean back, not to lean in. To lean back and just mutually have a discussion to see, is this a fit? Where you can just share your point of view. You can say, look, this is how I see it. This is my approach. And if I were to work with you based on what you said, this is probably how I'd roll with it. Do you have any questions? That kind of a conversation. And where, if it isn't a fit, you really would be happy to refer them to someone else. But that notion that they will thank you if you push them to buy. It also has a premise like that you ever need to push, which I don't think is true. Marketing has 3 roles. Get their attention, filter, lower the risk. And so the first thing, getting their attention, great. Now you're having the conversation. That conversation, you hear what I'm saying about getting to the truth of, is it a fit? That's the filtering. Will this help you? I don't know. Let's find out. And then there's lowering the risk. Instead of adding more pressure, you can lower the risk. If you go to marketingforhippies.com/risk, you'll see a blog post that's all about this. There are a lot of ways where instead of adding more pressure, you can reduce the pressure that they're feeling, the fear that they're feeling. You can lower the risk for them so they're more likely to take a step forward. It's a gentler, sweeter approach. So on both sides, the certainty that they'll thank you and the belief that you need to push them at all, this is where the trouble is. If we can walk in like, maybe they'd thank me, that's all right to say. It's possible they would thank me if I push them, but it's not a guarantee, and that's a kind of dangerous move. But it's possible they would thank me. But I can also, instead of pushing, I can just lower the risk and make it really easy for them to say yes. I can work on really good offers and say, well, look, here's the deal. Try it for 30 days. If it doesn't work out, less need for pressure at all. Probably, it's very rare. Literally in 20 years, I don't think I've strong-armed somebody. Earlier in my career, there were a few times, and they actually were grateful, I think, in those cases. Well, and there were times they weren't. So, but even though I haven't done for 20 years, I don't think it's useful to demonize approaches one way or the other and come up with this either-or way of thinking about it. Of course, at some point, there's probably a role for that, but we're just taking a chance when we do. So that's today's video. Are they going to thank you for pushing them to buy? Well, maybe. But it might also be, again, that they sign up. And part of especially if you're in the healing life coaching world, part of what they're inheriting in coming to the program, part of what's happened is their kind of autonomy, sovereignty in the process of signing up for it has not been honored, possibly, depending on how you went about it. They really haven't been listened to. And that's what comes into the program with them. And if they say yes to it, if they say yes to being bullied, what does that do to them? There are consequences beyond even just the program. If people just say yes to, well, I wasn't going to sign up, but they said it'd be a good idea, so okay, it was $10,000. I said, well, okay, they seemed really certain. It sets up this pattern of them not being able to trust themselves. I would personally much rather somebody say no and regret it, but they made the choice. It was their choice to say no. And then they learn to trust themselves a little bit better by making a mistake. And they might come back a year later and say, yeah, gosh, Tad, I was going to sign up for that thing and I didn't. I really regret it now. I'd much rather they regretted not signing up because of their choice than they signed up because I pushed them and they don't regret it because they've become so cut off from their own intuition and their own instincts about things. So they'll thank me if I ask them, if I push them to sign up. They'll thank me if I push them. Yeah. Will they thank you? Maybe. But even if they thank you, does that mean that's been the best thing for their growth? There is that trauma response called fawning, fear, fight, flight, fright, fawning. There can be that. People can be traumatized and sort of bowled over and then verbally be thanking you. It's a mysterious thing, but that can happen. So they'll thank you. Well, maybe, but if they do, is that a good thing? If you push them, do you need to push them? Honestly, if you really get the attention of the right people and then you filter out anyone who might be wrong and then you lower the risk of taking the next step, And especially if you build a reputation over time and a relationship with them over time, and you get to share your point of view and educate them, I don't know why you would need to pressure anybody. My highest end program, my mentorship program, I've never sold anyone. I've never done a discovery session. I've never tried to convince anyone to get in it. And yet at $400 US a month, it's pretty regularly filled up and there's a waiting list. So part of the thing to examine here is, why do I think I need to push? Where is that thought coming from? And this idea that we need to push comes from a lot of the traditional sales training and the manipulative approaches. And if you believe that you need to push, you're going to need to rationalize that need to, because it doesn't feel good to push people. It doesn't feel good to manipulate and strong arm people. Deep for us or them, this doesn't feel good. So you're going to need to come up with a rationalization for that. And what's the rationalization going to be? They will thank you. So I'm going to end it there. This is a much longer video than I thought I would do. Hopefully that's helpful. I'd love to hear your comments and thoughts below. If you like my videos, click subscribe and then the little bell icon. You can share it with your friends in a Facebook group maybe you're in, or just on your profile, or to friends, to family, options. And then, of course, marketingforhippies.com is my website, and I'm on Facebook as well. So thank you so much, everyone. I hope you're doing really, really well where you are, and hopefully we'll see you in a program down the road.